YouTube channel. 64 years of age now, Earl Strickland, from Roseboro, initially in the great state of North Carolina. You must have played him so many times, Jeremy.
Oh yeah, several times, and of course I heard about him so much because where I'm from, Baytown, Texas, he actually kind of spread his wings when him and his dad moved to Baytown, Texas. His dad worked for one of the major newspapers there in Houston, and of course Red's so famous of a pool room. That was a big area for Earl to kind of get his game to where it's at now and where it's been for the last 30, 40 years. But yeah, I played Earl a ton. Tell you, pretty nice break off there. It looks like Earl's kind of learned how to get a little more speed into the break here. Also, you'll see the cut break from the players, or most of the players anyways, trying to deposit that one in the side. Cue ball gets turned loose a little more with the cut break. You see some more scratches, occasionally a golden break. No push out here, a 2-rail kick. So Andy's going to have an open look from some distance, so we'll see.
Just seemed to let up on the stroke slightly, did Andy Goldstein, who practices at the Spots and Stripes Club in Bermondsey in London. And I'll tell you what, he practices quite hard as well. Loves the game. And he's been playing cue sports pretty much all his life.
Yeah, Spots and Stripes, a real serious club there in London. Moscone Cup teams have done a lot of practice through the years at that club and steadily improving. Nice shot there from Earl. You never know what kind of setup Earl's going to bring. I don't think it's quite as long as it is thick here this morning, that cue stick.
Well, you know the old phrase, I wouldn't touch him with a barge pole. It actually looks like a barge pole.
Well, Earl, I saw him a couple times yesterday. He seems like in a great mood. Both times I saw him, he said, oh, I had a hole-in-one. He's another hole-in-one. It's been since 1980, I think he told me. But anytime you make a hole-in-one, especially one of us guys, we're going to kind of wear it on our sleeves for a little while. A little draw stroke here in the position. Could settle for a little longer 8-ball.
That cue is something else, it really is. I'll tell you a story when this rack is over about what it reminds me of, actually.
Yeah, a little short of his mark here, and he's going to have to maybe take that in the corner. Not a hard shot. He's chipping it in the side. I don't know if you can tell, but like a very calm demeanor around the table. You know, it's almost like we talked about the Moscone, kind of like take your time getting to the shot, kind of slows the stroke down. I like what I see from Earl so far.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. So basically the story is this, as he goes 2-0 up. I'm from the Black Country in England, which is known for its mining heritage, coal mining. And back in the day, my grandfather was a coal miner. It was basically a case of, in those days, you started really early in the mornings. No alarm clocks, of course, so they used to employ someone to come around and knock them up with a big long pole onto the bedroom windows. The knocker-upper, he was called. And that's what the cue reminds me of, the knocker-upper's alarm call. Now, these are the tables currently being used. It is a vast arena, this. Of course, we were here late last year for the Moscone Cup. Then it was just one table and thousands watching. This time it's a great crowd actually in for the first morning, but they're dispersed all around the arena watching their personal favourites. Over on table 2, Duong Quoc Wang, who is the big favourite in Vietnam. He's taking on Robert Dowling. Marvin Assis from the Philippines, 1-0 up on the young American Landon Hollingsworth. And at the end of this rack, I will get you right up to date with all of the pertinent scores.
Yeah, you spoke of a couple names there on the younger side. I think you're going to see some noise or hear some noise this week from guys not long ago we called junior players, and some of the Americans, of course, but some Europeans really have made some noise at a young age here of late. Dry break here from Earl. Easy to get frustrated with the dry break. You kind of figure Andy will use that 6, 7, 8, 9 on the right side, kind of play the one down, maybe go into the brown 7 with the cue ball. Yeah, I like that. Very good. Very nice tactically.
Mentioned this at the top, but it's so nice to have live SB.io as the tournament sponsors, as they will be, by the way, for the forthcoming US Open in Atlantic City.
Interesting matches later too. And young Sam Henderson, I'll tell you what, he doesn't draw easy, but that's sometimes okay if you can get by it. He's got Carlo Beato later on, our reigning world champion at the World Championships. He drew the reigning world champion at the time, which was Fedor Gorst in the first round. So Sam, like many others, you got to earn your way through. There is a bank on offer cross corner, but the cue ball is going to go up table off the purple 5. So figure him to chip the left side of the 1, maybe try to come back behind the 8. Phil, I'm playing in this event, which I'm very happy and feel fortunate to be able to do so, but got to practice a couple times yesterday, and you could feel the moisture. Now, the tables played great, don't get me wrong, and I think they'll continue to play well, but we know they're going to toughen up, but you could feel the moisture even on day 1 in the bed and whatnot. So expect these tables to maybe get a little brutal towards the end of the event.
Nicely played. That's a pretty good hook. Yeah, getting the Strickland seal of approval.
Yeah, and that wasn't, you know, it was somewhat natural, but he still had to get into the cue ball to kind of slow it down and control the speed of the white ball. Earl should hit this. Not easy, but it spread on him a little bit. Surprised he went on the lighter side. Maybe he was a little next to the 8 and had to kind of spin into position. Good to see Landon Hollingsworth back after pretty bad injury to his leg that kind of kept him out of business for several months.
So this is Andy Goldstein's 3rd foray into the World 9-Ball Tour. He made his debut at the US Open last year. Mentioned the 9-0 whitewash he suffered against Ralph Souquet. Then he was 3-0 up against John Francisco on the 1-loss side, but ended up being beaten 8-3. At the UK Open earlier this year, he was heavily beaten by Ramazan Agdag, who thoroughly impressed Andy. Agdag won that match 9-1. Then Goldstein had a walkover against the absent James Arenas, and he was going nicely against Carlo Blasi on the main table. In his next match, it was 5-5. Young Blasi had a really fortunate fluke and pulled away to win 8-5. So he's still waiting for his first match win on the World 9-Ball Tour, but I think it will eventually come. You have to think not in this one, though. That would be a seismic upset.
Yeah, but that's why we play it. You never know a 9-ball pool, and you can tell that Andy, just from these last few shots, can certainly handle himself. He's got to work into position on a tough 6-ball here, though. He's going to get a little bit of a look at it. Not sure how the combination looks. Pretty steep onto the black 8. The safety looks very difficult also. can't quite get to the right side of the 6 enough, can he, to run the cue ball? Maybe play the 6 to the bottom cushion. I don't like what he's looking at here, though. Playing the 6 off the 8 to the lower left.
What about the 6-9?
Well, it looks like it lays okay. It's a long ways from the pocket, of course, but
Earl does his own commentary quite often. Never can make that shot, he said. Well, understandably so. It was a tough pot in itself with the use of so much English. Even more so.
yeah, and like always, or like most always anyways, the main table here, table number 1, is going to be a little slicker than the others. Doesn't get as much allowed practice on it. A little more lighting. Beautiful diamond table, though. Yeah, pulls. This is going to open up enough for the cut shot, but good thing because the 7 did not pass the black 8. Close quarters here. It should be a problem.
This is a hypothetical question because we would never be able to know how many racks of pool has Earl Strickland won in his life.
It's a big number, and another's about to get added to it right there at 3-0. But I really like what I see. You know, a lot of times Earl gets really kind of pumpy with the stroke or whatnot, and I think the slick conditions these days, especially early in the tournaments, I think it helps kind of slowing the stroke down.
Always a golden asset to any tournament he enters, and if he were to have a deep run here, the nostalgia factor would kick in, and I think he would get great support. Now, the winner of this match will take on the winner of the match that's currently taking place on table 14. Jesus Atencio of Venezuela taking on Craig Lucas, who apparently is a local. Well, Atencio leading 2-0 there. So if Lucas were to lose, and Andy Goldstein as well, then it would be Goldstein-Lucas on the one-loss side. Japan's Naoki Oi, the court jester of pool, he's 3-0 up on Jinsop Sukwei. Roland Garcia, former World 9-Ball Championship runner-up, he's 3-0 up on Daniel Sanchez. It's not looking good for Albin Houchen over on table 23. Houchen, twice World 9-Ball champion and 4 times a finalist. He's 2-0 down to Juuso Alaka of Finland. Now, bear in mind, Houchen was heavily defeated by Sosioa, the only female player to enter the World 9-Ball Championship in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia recently. So, could this be another early blow? John Morra of Canada, 2-0 up on Brian Rosenberger. And Bernie Regulario, who went so deep at the World Championship, he shared the first 2 racks with To Lian Han, a former World Cup of Pool runner-up from Singapore.
Yeah, I don't think it'd be the worst thing for Earl to maybe get a few different break spots, try to do a few different speeds. That one he caught a little thick, it looked like to me. All the balls kind of on one side of the table for the most part, 6 of them on the right. The 9 near the spot. Now, can Andy control the 1 enough to play the cue ball maybe behind the 2? Sending the 1 back down. Now you'll see Earl's cue, it's really thick near where he puts his backhand. All the other tape, I think, is all about weight for the most part, trying to disperse the weight how he likes it.
Now that shape error was down to the fact he almost overcut the 3 ball, so the cue ball travelled a little more than he anticipated.
Yeah, I'm wondering, he's got to just kick across here off the long rail, I think. Won't be real hard, I don't think, just medium. You'll love that hit. May get the snooker behind it as well, so not sure I've seen Andy jump at one before, but this may be it. Maybe a swerve shot for the side. He's put the 9 in an interesting place, not so much for a combination or any kind of early win, but he's got to get on the 5, which isn't hard with ball in hand, but then he's got to get on the 6 with an angle to get out for the 7. So he can't handle just straight on the 6, and that's where the 9 has become kind of impeding. So, of course, Earl, who I don't think sees anyone that sees problems or layouts any faster than Earl, will see how he wants to handle this. There's that angle, but he's moved the 8 a little impeding now, so he's got to get all the way across, a little elevated.
I don't like these things. Dead rails.
Well, he's saying dead rails. Not so sure about that, but the problem was created as Jeremy predicted.
All right, here you go, Andy, ball in hand, 3 on the table. The 7's probably the trickiest shot with ball in hand.
Well, he should win the rack he wanted, almost certainly now. Come on, Andy, hold yourself together.
The table draws easy. You got to pay attention to those things now. He's on the 50 and he's got to work the cue ball.
You know, when he lost that match at the US Open last year to Ralph Suke, he had a 9 ball like this, I recall, almost identical, which he missed. Not this time. Not this time. Oh, a quick stroke, Andy. That was nerves.
Yeah, definitely 2 beautiful strokes really on the 7 and 8. Just a little snatchy there on the 9.
That was purely and simply a product of it meaning so much to him.
A little elevated as he's banking this.
Now then, second chance, and it should be the charm. Well done to Andy Goldstein. He told me this morning when I first got in, first thing he said to me was, I want to win a rack. Well, that's exactly what he's done. Earl Strickland's lead reduced to 3-1. Now you see there him wiping his hands down with that towel, which looks quite bedraggled, and there's a reason for that. When he was a youngster, 12 years of age, he went to a Matchroom League snooker match in Richmond, which is near London, involving Jimmy White and Tony Meo, and Jimmy White was his hero. He remains so. At the end of the match, Andy went down and said, "Can I have your towel, please, Mr. White?" Jimmy gave him the towel and signed it, and he's kept it ever since, and he's using it for this match.
Yeah, there's always a good luck here and there. It's the good luck towel from the whirlwind, Jimmy White. We won't say how long ago that was, but...
Well, the Matchroom League ended in early 90s. I would say that was probably late to mid 80s.
Yeah, I put Andy probably 40, 45 years old, somewhere around there.
He's younger than us, Jeremy.
Yeah, that's right.
There was one very interesting scoreline out there I noticed. Ivica Putnik, who is a former veteran of the World Cup and a good player, he was 3-0 up on Roberto Gomez, another player who got to the final of the World 9-Ball Championship.
Yeah, and I think Roberto, of course, Putnik, back in the scene, playing a lot more tournaments. I think it's been a little while for him in that regard, but pretty good break off with nothing down there from Andy. But I was going to say about Roberto, it's we all know how great Roberto is, but I think if he just got a little more time out here on the World 9-Ball Tour to settle in, I think you'd really see the results that we all expect.
Yeah, even though he's Filipino, he spends all of his time playing here, doesn't he, in the United States, and he's a very good one-pocket player as well as 9-ball.
Yeah, you'll see him the next 3 weeks here on the World 9-Ball Tour. But yeah, resides in Houston for many years now. Big pool town, big one-pocket town. And he's got a chance to attack here. I think it kind of sends him somewhat towards the 2 if he hits it well. Oh, he's playing the safety. Trying to slow the Pearl down a bit. Little light. Tricky little shot here with a lot of traffic. May just take your chance here coming back into the 9 with the cue ball, or the 7 maybe even. I think it's hard to get a direct path.
Oh, that was a very loose one. Very loose indeed. And by playing that, he's not only created problems for himself, he's solved problems for Strickland.
Yeah, this 2's kind of sitting on the pocket. He's going lefty. Be a stretch otherwise. Went lefty because the 2 is pretty easy overall.
When you talk about aging in cue sports, people assume it's deteriorating eyesight, maybe motivation being drained away because you've done everything in the game in the past. I also think there's a problem in the sense that you have reduced agility in getting down on the shots.
Yeah, I think, you know, we see it in sports where players can play at a late age. The ones that stay in shape a little better, I think, helps that. You know, it's easy to put on a little extra weight when you get a little older. But yeah, Earl has worn a back brace a lot for many years at times when playing. I think he has it on now. You can kind of see that, and it goes kind of in the front as well. But I think for me, it's almost like the golf where the champion tour players can still hit the ball darn well, but when it comes to the putting, you know, the nerves, I think, one of the delicate things, I think that can be a problem for pool players as well as we start to get up there a little bit.
Well, just about caressing the bump of the middle pocket does him no harm.
I really like the pace around the table for Earl. Of course, it's not the fun pace as much, but I think it's the winning pace.
And he's back in front by 3 at 4-1. You know, Earl Strickland now, as I said a little earlier, is 64 years of age. Back in 1978, the second staging of the World Snooker Championship at the Crucible, the great Fred Davis got to the semi-finals there at the age of 64, and he missed quite a simple pink when he had a chance to beat Perry Mans from South Africa to get to the final. What a remarkable achievement that was, and at the age of 64 he didn't look a great deal different at the table to what he'd been at the age of 44. He played professionally until he was 78.
Yeah, that was one of the brothers, correct, that did so well?
Yeah, the younger brother. Joe Davis was undefeated from 27 to 46 in the championship, and then basically Fred took over as the dominant force.
Yeah, he retired once his brother beat him, I think you had told me, but something along those lines.
Well, basically in 1946, Fred came very close to beating Joe. Very close. And so Joe retired from the championship, but didn't retire from other tournaments. And so that devalued the championship, because the general public in the UK and around the world just assumed that the best player wasn't playing in the biggest event. And so that led to the demise of the World Championship 12 years later. But in that intervening 12 years, I think Fred won it 8 times.
Wow. I'm sure no more hardware in the sport than in that family.
Well, he's the only professional player throughout my career who I never called by his first name. I always used to call him Mr. Davis, and he was an absolute delight to be around.
All right, John Lehman, our referee. He's back in action here on the World 9-Ball Tour as well. Or you can see a little more crowded into the ball with the arm down. Wow, he went with more of a, he didn't cut those much at all. Got the corner ball to fall. Watch the 2 ball. Yeah, kind of squeezed it home and hit that a lot thicker, it appeared to me anyways, the one tracking past the side a few rails.
Lucky to rig one a rack on this thing.
I think there are quite a few matches to pay attention to in this first round. Of course, some you'll recognize, some you won't, but I think there's some upset alerts, maybe not going on here at 11, but in this first round in general, I think you're going to see some upsets.
I hate these things.
Chatting away with the audience as he normally does. Says he can't run a rack on these things. What that means, I don't know. Of course, famously in 1996, he ran 10 consecutive racks in the tournament, doing a large amount of money, supposedly. The full amount was never paid, though. Never paid to him.
That was in Dallas, Texas, at another famous pool player's pool room, C.J. Wiley's. Good little match out there, Robert Capito and Sergio Rivas. Sergio, very fine player. Feel like that will be somewhat close.
He was watching that cue ball with great interest, but it stopped just in time.
May draw into the 9 here, may get past it. The TV table has always been the slickest for many, many years. I think Moscone Cup seems to be the slickest I've ever played on, but what I'm getting at is Earl needs to remember how great he was on the TV table and why he won so many titles. Really understands it well.
Well, he won over 100 professional tournaments in a glittering career. And he's well on the way to winning this match, more than halfway, in fact. That was more like it from the great man. He leads by 5 racks to 1. One of his early tournament wins, actually, the 1986 Citrus 9-Ball Open. Now, I would hazard a guess is to say that was played in Florida because, of course, this is the citrus state. Go just down the road from here, down the US 27, and you get into orange growing country.
Yeah, absolutely. I know all about that. My grandparents lived in Winter Haven the last 35, 40 years of their life, and 35 years, I guess it was. And yeah, I used to love to drive up and down 27 and see all the orange groves, and of course the big baseball park there, and everything else around.
Yeah, the first time I came to Orlando, Baseball City, as it was called then.
That's right.
It was home to the Kansas City Royals spring training, but sadly it's no longer there.
Yeah, they actually had a small amusement park. You know, I say small in comparison to all the other ones they have around Orlando. Of course, not far from us, the most famous ones in the world. But yeah, we went to that baseball park a few times. Went down to Kissimmee to see the Astros, of course, and their spring training.
Yes, and the Atlanta Braves used to be based spring training in Walt Disney. Great place to come in February and March when spring training's on. Great place to come 12 months of the year, and let me tell you, this resort is absolutely world class.
Yeah, I'm watching this now. Earl's definitely hitting the one much thicker, and not just interested for him, but love to learn something. Tons of right spin on the cue ball. That's definitely on purpose. He's straight on the one. Can't really get a whole lot closer to the 2. So just going to play something mild off the blue 2. Maybe try and push it past the pink and dress the cue ball up behind the green 6.
You know, the latest theme park to open here in Orlando is Universal's Epic Universe, and I think Epic will apply to this tournament. It looks to have the makings of an absolute classic. Such a good field here, and once again, our thanks to Matchroom for putting this on. Emily Fraser and the team work so hard to get new events on the calendar, and I think this will be a instant hit.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, and I didn't mind that. Didn't have a whole lot on offer, really. But what I was going to say now, of course, the World 9-Ball Tour and pool itself doesn't really have an off season like most sports. But you could say this is the hottest time of the year, right, with the World 9-Ball Championships just ending. And right here, a new event in Florida, a few weeks to U.S. Open, but many other smaller World 9-Ball Tour events that are very high quality, not only with the field, but the purse.
Yeah, it's a really good time to be a pool player. Of that, there is no doubt.
Looks like he can play either the corner or the side. I like the corner myself, and that's just to get position on the purple 5 to get to the 6. He's ended up a little short. Might be on the fence here. May elect a safety.
He'd like to change the rules here and be able to play a 9-6 combo, but it doesn't work that way.
Yeah, it's really got to work the cue ball big time. Avoid some scratches. The 6 is very covered up. We'll know as soon as he hits it. Got the body into that one a little bit, Phil.
Yeah, one of those shots where it looked as though he was hailing a taxi. Well, that's a rookie error from the ultimate veteran.
Yeah, and I think he just kind of got down on it, thinking he was going to catch the 6 here with the cue ball. I think maybe that's what he thought, to slow the cue ball down and maybe creep behind the 9. When this is where also Andy, of course, didn't start out playing 9-ball as a cue sport, but he needs to not overthink it too much. You know, these are very doable for him. Big favorite to get out, in my opinion. Like right there, for instance, he tried to open the 9. I think there was a position to be able to cut the 6 in without moving the 9.
Yes, and either way, he was well off the mark, wasn't he, in terms of the positional cannon.
He's giving up a shot here, whether it's a cut to the lower left or a bank to the lower right.
Yes, it's a little under 5 months to Christmas, but here Earl Strickland has already got his gift from Andy Goldstein, i.e. rack 7, gift wrapped.
It's a little missable. Like to have been a hair straighter.
Six-one it is. Earl Strickland powering his way to a first-round victory. So, Jeremy, who do you play first?
Oh, I have to look at the name again. It's a Vietnamese player that I didn't know. Actually didn't look at the name again since really...
I've got it here. I'll tell you in a second.
Since the original draw, but do play at 2 o'clock.
It's Win Hai Dang. And if you win, more than likely you'll play Fedor Gorsht in the next round. And if that isn't on the main table, I'm going on strike.
Well, easy now, Phil. I like my chances better somewhere else. But yeah, that'd be great. I've never played Federer that I could recall. I'd have to ask him if we ever played a match against each other. Of course, I haven't played much in the last several years, and certainly I just don't recall playing him. But it would be an honor to get to do that. I'd like to see how I'd fare.
And if you're looking for any inside information on Win Hai Dang, I'm afraid I've got none. He's a new name to me as well.
Well, Carl looked him up when, you know, Saudi. We had a little extra time here and there and watched a little bit. He said, I got a chance, so we'll see what happens.
You've got a chance against anyone, Jeremy. Maybe not against Scott Frost in a 12-hour match, but anyone else.
Yeah, the freezer. Him and Carl both should be playing in this, but I feel fortunate now. That's a little different break, but I think I like how he's hitting them as far as the stroke and whatnot. I think if he got to hitting the one a little thinner, I think the one's going to pour in the side pocket. You can see he's hitting it much thicker than most. You know, what'll happen is, especially with that heavy spin, you can push the corner ball a little more towards that, or the wing ball towards the corners. Maybe that's what he has in mind more. Now, this opening round, day one, it looks like if you lose your first match, you have the rest of the day off. If you happen to win it, depending on what part of the draw, you will play again tonight.
If it seems highly likely that Earl Strickland does come through, it seems as though he will play Jesus Atencio of Venezuela in the next round. Atencio 6-0 up on Craig Lucas at the moment. So Andy Goldstein's next opponent will be Lucas.
Yeah, and I know Craig. He's a former room owner in the Dallas area. Moved to Florida a couple years ago. Just trying to get a good contact there with the 5/8 so disturbing on the right side. But I'll tell you another thing you better watch out for this week is the South Americans. You got a lot more on the field here, it being in America, and also Florida, a place that a lot of the South American players come to, very comfortable. So I wouldn't doubt if you see some deep runs from one of those boys down south. And we all know the name Jesus Atencio anyway, so super big talent. Now Earl could attack at this bank here if he wanted. Try and draw into the 6. He's going to play the safety. You'll see the guy's a little more passive maybe here on the red 3 with the 5-8 tied up. Totally intended to play the 3 off the point, cannoning into the 5-8, dropping the 5 in the lower right. He's got a long shot on the 3, but it's fairly natural to roll it in.
Watch it land right on top.
Well, that was the shot of the match so far. Superb.
And Earl's getting his voice back a little bit. A little exchange with a few of the fans. Missable jacked up. Tell you what, he looks good overall, Phil.
Watch it land right on top.
Well, let's put it this way. If any player in the world played the 3 like he did there, that would lead us to applaud. That was terrific. Not so good in terms of shape on the 7, though.
This has got to go a little bit. A little bump. Definitely gotten a little awkward here on the 8 to both either the side or the corner. Remember the ball he missed on the side earlier. He said he hates this shot or rarely makes it. This has got to slow down a little bit. Pretty good stuff, though.
Not going to say it's vintage Earl Strickland because that would be an exaggeration, but he's showcasing just how good he still is, and he leads Andy Goldstein by 7 racks to 1. Now over on table 2, which is also streamed on WNT.tv, Duong Kok Wang 4-1 up on Robert Dowling. And at this Florida Open, it's an exciting time because of a brand new sponsorship for this and the forthcoming US Open.
The new era begins. Game on with livesb.io. Big moments need bold partners. That's why Matchroom welcomes livesb.io, our official new sponsor for the World 9-Ball Tour. Livesb.io brings cutting-edge sports entertainment to fans all around the world. Fast, smart, global. Same fire, same energy, new partnership. LiveSB.io, World 9-Ball Tour. Let's play.
Yes, a tremendous sponsorship deal and a tremendous voiceover there from Emily Fraser. Our jobs, Jeremy, could be in jeopardy.
Yeah, good thing she's a busy lady. But yeah, exciting news for the World 9-Ball Tour and, of course, the inaugural Florida Open and the U.S. Open.
On table 13 right now, former UK Open champion Robbie Capito from Hong Kong. He's made a solid start to the week, 5-2 up. And Jeffrey Rodder, who's a fine cueist from the Philippines, he leads Yash Ajmera from India 4-2. Can give you one result if you like. Alexandru Pitia from Romania is through because Bui Truong An of Vietnam was a no-show.
Yeah, pool players, they live and die by the break shot. So even with a huge lead, a little frustration from Earl with another dry break. He's been decent, though. I think he's just hit, like I said, the one. I think it's intentional, hitting the one a little heavy, but see if he makes any adjustments moving forward.
Table 21, the lights are dimmed because Roland Garcia has won 9-0 against Daniel Sanchez.
Nice hit there from Andy. Earl should attack here, I think. Go up and down the table. He's going to catch the 3 a little bit. It's going to be long distance on the 2, but all he needs is to stop the cue ball. One of the shots that kind of a bread and butter for him for the last 40 years, really, off the end cushion.
Oh, look at that 2 as well. Absolutely stroked in like a master. The master he is. He and Johnny Archer have been on more winning Mosconi Cup teams than any other player. 9 of them. Neil's fine next best with 8. And he's made 15 appearances in the Mosconi Cup. Only Archer, Ralph Souquet and Shane Van Boning have been in more.
And we'll see if he wants to kill the cue ball with a little nip on the bottom end. He's going to go back and forth. Yeah, it may fall forward on him a little bit. No, he held the line nicely.
That's death.
The 9's near the holes. Doesn't need much here. Earl knows he's nearing the hill here. If he can get out, maybe he wants to get a little more time in talking to the spectators before this match ends.
He provides money's worth. There's no doubt about that. And Earl Strickland is on the hill. Not too many hills in Florida, but he's found one.
Ladies and gentlemen, please make sure your flash.
Andy Goldstein was telling me a great story earlier on about the fact that at the 2007 Mosconi Cup, because Andy, of course, was the presenter for that event, and he interviewed Strickland on more than one occasion during that tournament. One time he'd lost a match and he smashed his cue, Strickland. Andy retrieved the last sort of 12 inches of it down to the tip, and Earl very graciously, after a cooling down period, signed the segment of the cue, and I think Andy still got it.
Yeah, him and probably another hero for Andy. But Earl is funny. He'll, you know, we all know he's one of a kind in a lot of ways, but he'll kind of talk about himself and understand things, laugh at himself once he gets comfortable or around the people he's comfortable with.
Tell you who is comfortable, Bernie Regulario, who underlined his vast potential at the World Championship. He's 6-1 up on To Lian Han. That's on table 4, and you can watch all of the action on table 4 today and for the rest of the tournament on the Matchroom Multisport YouTube channel. Naoki Oi 6-4 up on Jinsop Sukwei, and Chang Yi has made a good start against Mason Koch of the USA, leads 6-2. And young Payne McBride, he's 6-1 upon another American, Eli Poole. Albin Auschen has made a recovery against Yuso Laka. Auschen was 2-0 down. He now leads 5-3.
The balls are going everywhere. The pockets are just too little. I'm breaking the balls good. I don't know why they won't go in.
Yeah, you could hear Earl there. He's satisfied the way he's hitting him. Took a little speed off there. Is the 2 going to open up? It is. So Earl the Pearl, how he's done so many times, he's got a chance to break and run to finish a match.
So Jeremy, where you live, you perhaps came down the Interstate 10, then down the 75 and across on the 4. You know where I'm coming from with this. Is this the first road map?
Well, it's very playable. If he gets on this pink 4, you can see they kind of connect from there. Purple 5's near, the 6 on the bottom end. He's going to get maybe a hair awkward queuing, wants that to continue.
I was hoping I could break run 1 rack, but I just ended that. God, what an idiot.
I don't think the 5 passes the 8. He's a little off angle, so may have to work the cue ball a little bit here. And this is what I was talking about, now trying to find a pocket, maybe the lower right. I think he goes for this to try and get that break and run.
Well, that was just beautiful. Floated it in.
Nope, that's death. Bounce. Do something.
He knows he's fallen a little off. He may have to draw this back for the 8 in the right middle side pocket. Old school, he'd maybe thump it in with a high ball going 2 cushions out.
I guess I gotta make a combination to do it. God, you idiot.
We couldn't see it, but obviously the cue ball caught the knuckle on the side pocket. He's going to go for this combo.
It is 9-1, and for Andy Goldstein, it's 9-1-1. A real emergency. Immediately, he is sent to the one-loss side. Earl Strickland, I think he showed some pretty good form there. It wasn't so much that Andy missed an awful lot. He did waste a few chances, but in the end, the old maestro comes through by a score of 9-1. Andy Goldstein will now go to the one-loss side of the draw. More than likely, Earl Strickland will take on Jesus Atencio next. As for us, we'll take a 5-minute break. Next up, it is the newly crowned World 9-Ball Champion, the pride of the Philippines, Carlo Biardo, taking on Iowa's Sam Henderson.